Oh, okay. Brad, I'm going to ask you to do the invocation. Okay, are we ready? CD has turned his recorders on. Yeah. Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's October 20th, 2022 at 6 p.m. We have a full quorum here at City Council, and I have asked our City Attorney, Brad Elrod, to please do invocation, which will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
If you'd pray with me. Dear Lord, we just give you thanks for today. Thanks for an opportunity to gather together. We just pray for your hand and your guidance on this meeting, Lord, as we attempt to do your will and better the city, Lord. Just bless everyone here in the community in Tyler County, and give those in attendance here today safe travels home. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, no one has signed up for communications from the audience. Has there been anything online? Okay, there will be another opportunity at the end of the meeting. If anybody wants to make a comment, we will pick that up at the end of the agenda. We'll move on to our consent agenda items. Is there anyone that wishes to take anything off of the consent agenda?
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I want to make a motion that the budget hearing for September the 28th and the tax rate hearing for September the 28th be removed, as Mayor Pro Tem Morris didn't follow proper procedures as acting mayor in voting for those hearings.
So you're asking for the minutes of that meeting to be removed?
Yes.
Why? Okay. I don't, I'm not sure that would be what we need to do. You're contesting the meeting itself.
Yes.
The minutes that were written or submitted were according to what happened at that meeting. Now, if you're asking for a new hearing, a new meeting, that's a whole nother thing,
Okay.
I would think. And I don't know what, I think we have to consult with the city attorney.
Isn't that an executive session thing?
Under an abundance of caution, can we delay the vote on that? Kind of put it on the spot here.
Yeah.
So, just, I want to make sure, that I'd like to flesh this out a little bit.
Okay. What I'm saying, Will, is the minutes that are submitted are according to what happened at the meeting.
Okay.
Now, that maybe we could go into, how would we do that? Go into closed session, or would you like another time?
I'm going to do some research. I'll do some research here
Okay.
while we're working on some other stuff.
But you get where I'm coming from,
I
right?
got you.
Okay.
Well, it's just that we needed to do things in the proper manner.
Oh, absolutely, and we'll discuss that.
And that's where the whole thing is coming from. It is what it is, but if we do it the proper way.
Okay, like I said, I wasn't here, so
Right.
I have no idea. But as far as the consent agenda, is there anyone that wishes anything to be removed as far as the minutes? The minutes have been submitted, and I think everything is accurate according to the meetings that happened.
That particular set of minutes can be removed for future.
Yeah. Well, if we had another, if you're asking for another meeting, is that what you're asking for?
No, I'm not sure the proper procedure to do it. But the mayor pro tem should be the tie-breaking vote for the council, and they shouldn't vote as a council member.
No.
Brett can address that, but I'm a councilman, not the mayor.
Would it have changed the end result?
No.
And I'm not sure,
The
but
result wouldn't be
that's,
changed.
that's the question? That he should have voted as a tiebreaker, not as a member?
Correct.
Okay, so that's what you need to
What was
research.
what was the action on?
On the budget and the tax rate.
Tax rate,
Are you, both or just the tax rate?
both.
Okay, both.
I see no issue adopting the minutes because that is if it's the correct reflection of the meeting, those have to be recorded. If there is a issue about whether the action itself was legal, that action itself would have to be, challenged or brought up. So
Okay.
I don't think the minutes
It would not have
themselves-
changed the outcome.
It wouldn't change the outcome.
Right. But you're questioning procedure.
Question
Yeah,
of
just from a
procedure.
procedure standpoint, I see no problem with adopting the minutes if the council agrees they accurately reflect the meeting.
Yeah. So, are there any corrections or additions to the minutes as they stand?
No.
Okay. There being no objection to the consent agenda items, or no one wanting to remove anything from the consent agenda, then it is adopted. And we will move on to my report, which is going to be short and sweet this evening. We do, just before I left, I asked about the $375,000 grant that the TDA, the Texas Department of Agriculture, it's a CDBG grant that's supposed to do the work on 22nd Street, and I called the TDA rep, and he said, yes, it was in the works. And good news, it is, and so I just want to let everybody know that we will be working on 22nd Street. The plan was to do all of 22nd Street. Hopefully, the funding will be adequate for that. We know, and I noticed that it's also, a section of 22nd Street is also in the $8 million grant. So that might help us, finish the whole thing out. David Marshall came in the other day, and we we have agreed to have a special meeting on Saturday at 9:30 in the morning. He has found a truck that he feels is really, he's really excited about it. And of course, we can't make a decision like that without consulting counsel. So at 9:30 on Saturday morning before the town hall meeting, we will get together and have a special meeting. It should be short and sweet. And he's going to present what he's found as far as his truck is concerned, and we can make a decision on Saturday. The gentleman that's selling it is holding it for us until we make a decision. So mark your calendars, 9:30 on Saturday instead of 10 o'clock, at least council members. Town hall meeting will begin at 10 a.m. The agenda has been posted. It's a fairly lengthy agenda. We can't talk about anything that isn't on an agenda. So I tried to include everything that people are having questions about right now. And so you can check the agenda. Sarah's done it. Did you put it on all the sites, Sarah? I know you put it at least on one. Okay, so the agenda's out there, and if you have anybody has any questions that they'd like to submit via email, they can do that. You can send them to me, actually, Kathy.Bennett at cityofivanhoe.texas.gov, right? Or you send them to City of Ivanhoe. Poor CD has so many emails that, he gets bombarded with emails. But if you want to submit anything by email, let us know, or, you can do that, and we will submit any questions. All of the council members got a correspondence from TxDOT, and they're going to have an informative, it's going to be an online meeting, but it's about the section of 69 between Lumberton and Warren, and there are going to be some adjustments to that project. And I understand from what CD was saying this morning that they're going to have to cut back on some of the frou-frou stuff that they were adding on because of budget. It's kind of like what we were talking about before, wondering how far that money's going to go. Today's prices are a lot higher than when estimates were done. So anyway, that's what that letter is that everybody got. Oh, there's going to be an open house at the fire station from 10 to 2 on Saturday. Everyone is invited. If you haven't seen the new fire station facility, it is fabulous. And it's going to be lots of fun. They're going to have hot dogs in there. And so go out and see the new station. Take your kids. Kids enjoy going to the fire station. And so that'll be a fun activity for Saturday. It's like I say, from 10 to 2. We have Trick or Trunk this month, Halloween night. It's from 5:30 to 7, and that's going to be hosted by Friends of Ivanhoe. Is there anything to add to that, Marion? And there will be hot dogs here, too. What?
We're gonna serve outside instead of in here.
Okay. But anyway, it's kind of the typical thing, and we will be giving hot dogs to the kids, well, to anybody that shows up. And then I realized today the boat parade is right around the corner. You know, it's less than a month and a half. And so that's going to be December 3rd. It's always on the first Saturday of December. So think about decorating up your boat and getting ready for the boat parade, and hopefully my boat won't break down this year. Anyway, that's it. Moving right along with Supervisor of Dams report, Rusty. I think it's on. It should be
It's
on.
on. Mayor, City Council, I got pretty much nothing because there's nothing going on except lack of rain. So if you have something for me, really, I got nothing. It's just like it was 3 months ago.
Okay, well,
Okay.
they say
thank you
no
very
news
much.
is good news, right? Does anybody
Uh,
else have any questions or any
I'd
concerns?
rather have some rain.
Oh, yes.
That would be news.
You
Yeah.
tried your rain dance?
I'm not very good at dancing anymore, unless it's slow, you know, it's gotta be slow.
dance.
Okay.
Thank you, Rusty.
All right. Next is report on municipal court activity. Our judge is left town. She actually had to go to her daughter's house this afternoon. So I will do her report for her. The total fines and court costs collected is $1,087. Total fines retained by the city, $790.66. And total fines sent to the state, $296.34. Year-to-date fines collected, $11,451, and previous year-to-date was $13,296.40. And there's a detailed report for all the council members, if you wanted further detail on that. Next is our city marshal report. Good afternoon.
September reports, we had around 50 calls. 13 of them came through the sheriff's office. I had around 16 calls, 2 CPS calls, and dog calls, which is normally daytime crew. And I had 2 code enforcement, and then I was gone half the month on my PTO time because my wife made me leave. Bob only worked half the month also. His father passed away in California, and he did around 15 calls. Steve did 9 calls and 4 CPS calls. So, and tomorrow I'm gonna be gone most of the day. I'll be at the DPS crime lab with evidence. I'm still trying to get somebody else extra to work out here, but we can't compete
With the hospital.
no, we can't compete, period.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Right. Well, I appreciate you, Terry. You're doing a great job.
All right.
Thank you. Next is report on code enforcement activity. Jackie.
them right there.
All right. As we currently stand, we have 200, little over 200 open active cases with code enforcement. This past month, we only closed 20 files. I wanted to start out and clear up a few things. First, to the city, or to the community of Ivanhoe, I owe no one in this room or the city of Ivanhoe anything. I was recommended by Terry Riley, and I was hired by Mayor Bennett on the main basis of being an outsider, so I was not biased. I want to make something clear. I have not and will not participate in favoritism, nor will I let my office be used for political grandstanding. My office runs on ordinances. It's rules. They were put in place by or taken out by City Council. That's it. So not the mayor, not the city secretary, nor myself. At the same time, if you have a complaint, if you have a problem, you need help, or you've received a letter or postcard from my specific office, give me a call. Call me personally. Don't call the mayor. Don't call City Council. Don't call City Secretary. That keeps a lot of confusion down. To be honest, I could care less if somebody puts a toilet in a tent. It doesn't matter either way to me. It goes by city ordinances. So if it goes against the city ordinances or it's something out of the ordinary, it needs to be brought in front of the entire council, and the entire council needs to vote on it. The biggest thing is to fill out the permits honestly, accurately. If you have future plans with your property, to make sure that you put your future plans on there, so that way we can properly advise you on what needs to be done. Let's see. Second thing is that anything that's out of the ordinary, anything that goes against ordinances, once again, bring it to City Council. Let them go on record of yes or no whether it can be done or not be done. Secondly, I would like to thank Ms. Welch. If it wasn't for her falsely reporting me, I wouldn't be holding this report. This is a report from the TDLR. In this report, Ms. Barrera was the prosecuting attorney. She found that there could not be any established code violations or any violations that was committed by me. So my office and myself, all violations have been closed. There's going to be no further action against my office. And that should conclude everything about the legitimacy of the whole code enforcement that's been going back and forth all over the internet. And thirdly, to City Council, I was asked to give detailed reports on all the code enforcement, which I have no problem giving. For this month, we had, these are all closed. We had 3 pool violations. We had 6 lot maintenance, 2 building without a permit, 1 expired permit, 6 junk vehicles, 2 tree removal permits, 1 animal, 1 barbed wire, 2 habitation of a portable building, 1 trailer sticker, and 1 abandoned building. And those were all closed this month. Now, in this file, there are all the permits, all the requests for permits, all the pictures, all the reports of everything involving the Welch property. May I add, if anybody would have taken 5 minutes and come up and asked me to look at this file, they would have been able to clearly see everything that was going on. And I believe that there would be no issues, or would not have been any issues with that property once they seen that the information was falsely submitted, not only to the city, but to the state. The septic was listed for RV use only until a house was built. All this is confirmed in the state inspection report. As of now, the property's been sold. The new owners of the property already contacted me, asking me about the non-compliance sign that was in the yard that was not in plain sight while they were looking and purchasing the property, but after the sale was complete, was in plain sight. I explained the situation that was caused, and it became apparent that the property owner and the realtor misrepresented the property during the sale process. That all is being turned over to the state as we speak. On a good note, I want to publicly welcome and commend the new owners. They only owned the property 72 hours. Were able, once we spoke to them, to come onto the property, correct all the violations that were there, had us come out, inspect everything, make sure everything was correct, and we were able to move the non-compliance sign from the property. Once again, in this file, that has all the inspection pictures. It has the closing inspection from the TCEQ, and everything's listed in there, also showing that the septic was improperly hooked up compared to the plans that were originally submitted and the way they ended up. So even though this one file took up a lot of time this last month, I do want to thank John Craven. He has put in countless hours that he's donated to help with code enforcement, and if it wasn't for his help, I wouldn't be able to close all the cases that I get closed. Does anybody have any questions, comments?
Thank you.
So I've also have all the closed files that I mentioned, the 20 files, they're in the stack here. So if anybody'd like to look at them, they'll be available at my office.
I appreciate the hard work, Jackie.
Thank you.
And thank you, John. Were there any questions? Okay. Moving along, Public Works report. Mr. Marshall, please come forward. Now, I want to show all the public what David has done. He gave us all a notebook that we have to carry. I love it, David. Really, this is awesome.
We will be adding to that every meeting, so you can fix it however you want to, but
Will we have to turn them in after the meeting is over?
We get a grade.
no,
No.
no. Y'all keep track of them. It was fun putting them together, but we just need to do things a little different. It's going to be a little lengthy tonight, but bear with me, it won't be that bad. I want to do it this way. Everybody here has a better idea of what we do and can kind of keep up with the progress, because we are making very, very good progress. I'm not tooting my horn, I'm tooting the guys that work for me. That's Colby, Joe, Gabriel, and Michael Bilodeau. Could not do any of this without their help. So y'all see them out there when it's hot, when it's cold, in the rain, in the sleet, and the snow. Toot your horn, something. Just let them know that you appreciate it too. I would be absolutely not standing here or anything without their help. It's all on them. To start off with, y'all will just go through this with me. The ash material that we get from August 17th to October 6th. August 17th is when we started picking it up. After 29 actual working days, we had picked up 112 tons of this raw material and turned it into 336 tons of much better material. That was 336 tons that have now been dispersed on the roads. That cost us a whole $1,653.75. That's labor included of picking it up, labor and fuel included as far as mixing it. It goes a long way. If we were to compare that to what we would have used had we had the money would be the limestone. Had we bought 336 tons of limestone, it would have cost us $14,427.84. What we did was make 336 tons of this mix at $1,653.75 for a total cost savings of $12,774.09.
You earned your raise.
Thank you.
That's great, David.
Now, to put that in perspective, and I know I'm jumping the gun here, but I feel very confident in what we're doing and how we're doing it. If you were to take that $12,774 and some odd cents and multiply that over just half the year, 6 months, which I know we can do, you're looking at $76,644.54 in savings. Are we still going to have to get some limestone? Yes. Mainly for culverts, some level up before we put this on there, but it will be reduced drastically. We are getting faster and better at that. Since that was all gone, we had to get some more. On the 14th of this month, we picked up 54 tons. Today, we put out the last of the mix of 162 tons from that 54 that we picked up. So not only did we mix it in 14 hours, but we were able to put it out in a week's time. So we pay less, we get more, and we put more of it on the road.
Where are you mixing it, David?
At the Chanticleer yard.
Do you have enough room on the yard for the material?
We do now. Yeah, we've redone some things, and
Okay.
we've got plenty of room to do that. And it's easier to keep up with if we get some, mix it, then disperse it, then go get some more. It just, there's a little bit of downtime there, a couple of days of mixing, but during that time, we're back doing our regular stuff, which, by the way, we have 6 work orders on the board from
wow.
over 100 and something when we started. So we're getting there, getting to the point of just maintaining. If you turn to the next page, you can see a map there that says the SPM mix September. That's where we've already put it down. So you guys can follow along with that and watch that grow.
What does the SPM stand for?
Special.
Special pellet mill mix.
Okay.
I don't
Gotcha.
know. I could have called it dam mix.
No,
but,
it's okay. I just,
no.
now we know.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
Hey, we can change it if you want to. It just,
No.
it's what hit me at the time. The next page will also show you where we put it down in the blue. In the orange, that's what I have planned, with y'all's permission, to put out. That is not a unreal goal. We can probably get that done by the end of next month.
Don't
at the
put it on
latest.
the paved streets over there on 17th and.
Yeah, we've only done, I think, 1 or 2 of
Yeah,
those.
well, I
we're
mean,
gonna.
but don't put it on the pavement.
No, we're not gonna put it on the
Well,
pavement.
you have it marked.
That's not paved. That's all limestone and dirt. But we give them all a good look before we do anything.
17th Street is paved and 19th Street is paved and so is 21st.
Well, we'll move those locations to somewhere else. We can do that. It's all negotiable. But that way you guys can keep up with the progress and help me with this planning. If there's some other places you think need it before, I'm just trying to hit the worst first. That's kind of catchy, isn't it? The worst first.
Poet didn't know it.
Okay. Turn past the tab. John, this was to let y'all know what's going on, but also to answer your question.
Thank you.
I got an answer to yours too, David. Since January, we have completed to date, as of January till to date, we have completed 106 work orders. That's with 4 people. That's averaging about 10.6 work orders per month at this time. It'll change as we get to the end of the year. Keep in mind, that may sound low to some, but look back up at some of the figures monthly. And remember, some of these work orders may take us 2 to 3 to 4 days to complete, so it's kind of
Well,
hard to make that look good.
And it's not just work orders. You do other things that it's not
Right.
just a work order. You do things.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So 10, you're doing great.
It's not me,
Well,
those 4.
your department.
Thank you. The next page, you can see by the map what the motor grader has done from May until September. That may sound an odd way to put that, but that's when I really started putting these records together. So that will change as the meetings continue to a month-by-month thing. Everything there, you can see where the grader has been. The next page.
David,
is-
before you move on from there, on this particular map, when you look at September going forward, can we use this same map and just continue in another color? That
Sure.
way we can see the growth and see when everything gets finished
Sure.
that there is to do, and then when we're going to
Yep.
start over. That way we'll see the cycles move through.
Yep. That's fine. Either y'all can do it, or I'll bring you new ones every month to where this can kind of be used as like an overlay.
Well, if we leave our binder here at City Hall, then you can just come in and modify
now
'em.
you're asking a lot.
That's less work for you.
All right, we can do that. That's not a bad idea. The next one is the culvert install, again, from May till September. You can see where and approximately how many. I didn't put the number on there, I should have. The next one, we're very proud of. That's the mowing and brush clearing.
Wow.
Mr. Gabriel and Mr. Bilodeau have been two busy little people. That's partly thanks to y'all for the mower. We put it to good use. Put the first one to such good use, we burn it up. And the last one is the ditch work. The cleaning of ditches, the clearing of ditches, cutting the new ditches. And you'll see that some of this does coincide with the motor grader, because whenever he gets on a road, he hits those ditches. So it kind of interlocks with each other.
David, before we move on, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
When you talk about ditches, when they put in that new water line, and I don't think they're completed yet, believe it or not, but are y'all gonna have to go back and redo those ditches?
Probably so,
Yeah.
because they ended up putting most of it in the ditch.
Right.
And the rest of it is between the road edge and the ditch. So we're going to have to be very careful, I hope, for their benefit,
Right.
that they did follow state law and it is a minimum 36 inches. If that's the case, it won't bother us at all.
Okay, thank you.
And no, they're not finished after 8 months of
I know.
construction. According to the water company, they will never hire those folks again.
27th
I thought
Street.
those folks walked off.
They may have. We're going to get the dirt off the side of the roads. They can come ask for it or whatever, but
It's still there.
it's still there.
Yes. On 27th anyway.
We reported that.
Yeah. That kind of brings us up to date on that. I mentioned about that one, okay. If you turn to the back of your booklet, and this is just for your benefit, Kathy's already said that we're going to take care of this Saturday, at least look at it. Is some information with some pictures of what we're looking at. I think the price is on par. I think he knows it too. He's not budging a penny. So that is the price that he's asking. And I don't know how much I can get into this since it's not on the agenda, so.
Right.
If
It's
y'all-
just a report. And that way they've got information prior to the meeting.
I thought it might
That's-
speed
that's a
things
good
up for a
idea.
yes or no on Saturday, so we don't
Right.
take up everybody's time. Y'all are getting me up early anyway.
Ooh,
You, you
I
got,
think you're getting us up early.
well, it's all right, it's okay. John, you got the answer to your questions about when you were asking me about the
Yes.
work orders.
Yeah, thank you.
David, I did call on your question, which I believe was this material we're putting down if we end up paving one of those roads or doing something to it, would it slow down or impede that process in any way? I talked with Victoria, and she said so long as we're not putting it down 8 or 10 inches thick, they would do nothing different than they would on any other road, preparing it for an overlay or a total rebuild or rehab. So we're good there, I think. Y'all have the locations of some of this stuff. Go take a look. We've been accused of putting dirt on the road, but this is a little bit different than dirt, even though it might look like it once it dries up. I still think it's going to work well.
How is it doing without any rain? I know the rain sets it better.
It was fine. It was dusty like the limestone, but just as soon as we got the rain, it tightened up and locked up real good.
Okay.
I'm glad you mentioned that. We have located a water tank that we could wet it as we put it, that would be portable to take on and off of our haul trailer for somewhere less than $2,000. Just food for thought, instead of waiting for the rains.
What size?
I think it's 800 gallon. I mean, you know, you can get more, but I don't want to tax that trailer too much.
Yeah.
But
Well, you could put on your new truck.
we could. You did notice that had the sides on it, removable and so forth. So y'all have that. You've got my number. You can get with me whenever. Okay.
I think the water tank, if it really helps set this stuff, is probably a good idea.
Not only for setting, but during the summer, the limestone roads that we have, it does get really dusty.
Yeah.
So I mean, it would work in several different.
Well, I'd be in
aspects.
favor of you going ahead with that purchase
Okay.
at $2,000. I think it would be well worth it.
I do too. We'll get together on that.
Okay.
I'm going to get out of here without any questions.
You did a great
I
job.
did good.
You just blew us away. That's why we're speechless.
Oh, please. Okay, thank y'all.
Thank you, David. Okay, consider discussion action, planning and zoning commission recommendations. Councilman Craven.
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Okay. Number 8, consider for discussion action livable space definition for codified ordinance. Councilman Herrington.
Yeah, this was a call I received in regards to a permit application to bring in a Dirksen. I don't want to misrepresent it by using verbiage that's not exactly as their documentation states, but they claim a livable space above the requirement that our ordinances state. However, the livable space is certainly less than 5 feet tall. So, and so what it's raised is kind of the question of, do we have a definition in our ordinances as to what actually constitutes livable space? There was a call made to the county tax assessor's office, and I haven't been able to actually get in touch with David Luther directly.
So you're talking about the appraisal office, not the assessor.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The appraisal office. It's our understanding that if it's not a full story, and again, that was a general response that we got, that they don't count it on the tax roll. But being that we're seeing pre-manufactured buildings that are being manufactured more like tiny homes and things like that, I think it's really important that we get clear on our definitions, and this is follow on to some of the other ordinance work that we're doing right now. Brad and I have a meeting in the first week of November to clarify some things and get some options together for presentation to council and discussion. But this particular item, I just wanted to go ahead and get it on the docket as a critical path discussion point that we need to get to work on, because anywhere where there's ambiguity in our ordinances, or we don't have solid definitions that we can stand on, or it's not clearly defined in our ordinances what it actually says or means. It's really important to our community that people have good information, good instruction, and a clear, concise communication from the city as to what the expectations are. So nothing to report other than that. This is an existing, it's a pending permit application. So I'm going to keep hammering on Dave Luther and see if I can get something back. I will probably also get with Brad as to whether or not we can reference county guidelines, and if they have some additional guidelines that are more founded in legal jargon, to reference as to whether or not we can actually look at considering that type of livable space as viable or not.
So don't the international building standards dictate the height of the ceiling?
I don't know for certain. And so that's another question. I don't know what defines livable space.
Well, but we do
Usually
have,
it's by square footage, but
Right.
the building standards would dictate ceiling height.
right. And also, it is in the ordinances that the square footage that's required.
Right, right. And what we've got with this particular permit application is that the downstairs square footage of the building is less than 1,000 square feet, but I think that it has maybe like a 200 square foot loft space with not enough space to stand up or actually move around in, but that you could slide a mattress in or cot or whatever. So, again, this is just one of those situations where we need to be able to circle the wagons, get something that's concise and clear that we can stand on legally and be consistent with
Right.
across the board, get rid of any ambiguity.
Yes. As I've said before, the ordinance is a living document, and these are the reasons, because there's so much ambiguity, and things change from day to day. Thank you, David. Consider for discussion actions, solicitation of proposals for grant administration for community development block grant funds for the 2023-2024 cycle. The CDBG grant is the $375,000 that we got. This time it's going up to $500,000, and it just depends on what they come up with. But the grant administrator advised us that it's time to get the grant administrator in place so that we can go ahead and apply for the upcoming cycle. So do I hear a motion to solicit proposals for grant administration?
I make that motion.
I'll second.
Second. Any questions about this? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, consider for discussion action adoption of American Rescue Plan Act budget, 2023 budget. This is all in your handout. Now, I came up with some figures we have to submit a budget. Now, we can move line items around, and what we started out with, CD put on one side the 2022 budget, and we can compare it to the 2023. The 2022, and he did it nicely like this, so you can just fold it up and look at it. And it saved paper. So, what you'll see is the total amount that we had last, as of 2020, for 2022 is $355,820. And what has it been expended is $1,779.10. So that leaves the remainder $352,930 and 90 cents. Haven't we? Okay. All we've expensed is $1,779 so far? Okay. Now, like I say, we can change these figures. What I put, and we had talked about this when we did our first budget workshop. We are going to need a match for the GLO, the $11.4 million, and so that's one of the main things on there that I put in there. You can use this for your match, And so that's $114,920. Admin is a total of 17,791. We've already spent 1,779, or paid 1,779, and so that leaves $16,011.90 toward administration. And these are, like I say, suggestions, and also we can move money around. Do line item transfers during the year if we have to. The auditor said we have to have a budget for every account that we have. Now, we don't have to spend the entirety of this money until the end of 2024, right? To spend it. But we do have to have it budgeted. And it has to be budgeted looking like we're gonna spend the whole amount in the year. And I did put, and that's been a question that people have asked, I suggested allotting $40,000 toward code enforcement. My thinking on that was, we have a lot of cleanup that needs to be done. Abandoned structures and abandoned trailers and whatever junk that needs to be removed. If we don't have a budget to do that, then we can't do anything. So that's why I put $40,000 in there. Not necessarily, we won't necessarily spend it all, but we have never really had a budget where we could have money available to be able to clean things up, and that's what the idea of that was. There's been misunderstanding that the code enforcement was a salary increase of $40,000. No, it's not salary. It's just a thought that we could allot money to be able to clean up some of the mess that we have.
A good example of that would be that one-car garage on Charmaine Drive East that we voted to have it torn down, and we didn't have it. It's
We
still
didn't have
standing.
fun.
We didn't have money
There was
for
never
that.
a budget line item, but it's been we've been told that money you can pretty much spend on anything you want to, and I thought that would be a worthy thing to start cleaning up the things that need to be cleaned up, and then you put a lien on the property for the amount that you spent. Whether we ever get the money or not, at least we've improved the community. Any questions about this? Do I hear a motion to adopt the budget for the 2020, the ARPA money for 2023?
I make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay. No.
All righty. Move on to, we have to have a budget for each one of these, so you might get bored. This one is very, very simple. The interest and sinking budget. The beginning balance is $16,849. The budget is $133,975. Accounting fees, $300. So that's a real simple budget, but that's the way we have to do it. Do I hear a motion to approve this budget?
I'll make that motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I didn't ask if there are any questions.
No
Sorry.
questions.
Okay. This is the HMGP. This is the $11.5 million grant. You'll notice that so far, there's been $651,509 spent. And that's been on engineering, grant administration, surveying, what do you call it? I don't know how much we've spent on environmentals, but surveying and doing all that sort of work has been $651,000 so far. And so you can see where we are on the budget and how we've kind of divided that money up. Like I say, we can move around line items like we do in our other budget as necessary, but that's what we have right now. And it's doubtful that every bit of that money will be spent in this upcoming year, because if they could get all that work done in 1 year, we would be celebrating. But that's the way we have to do it. Do I hear a motion to adopt the GLO HMGP MIT budget?
I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now we get to the supplemental. That's the $8 million grant. We have spent $475,862.96, and it's basically the same type of expenditures. And this is what we have allotted for the upcoming year for that budget. Do I hear a motion to adopt?
I make that motion.
I second.
Any questions about this? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, we're moving right along. Bond construction fiscal year 2023 budget. What the remainder in the bond fund is $390,784.23. There will be $300 for administration, and the rest of it will be going toward construction, or in construction / engineering. Do I hear a motion to adopt?
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Okay.
discussion? No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Discussion, questions? All right. Moving right along, we finished all those. Consider for discussion, action, solicitation of proposals for bond construction work. In this, Councilman Morris brought to the agenda. Would you like to discuss that?
While you were out, we had a pre-bid conference, or pre-construction conference, I guess is what it was. Or was it pre-bid? Well, either way, the problem we ran into is that there's only one vendor for that material that we had on there, and that material is not, it's good for off-roads, but it's not good for main roads. So we need to go out for bids. We need to talk about it, what we want to do, because there's not enough money in the bond fund to do 27th or 28th Street. That would take $700,000 or $800,000 or more.
Right.
We need to have an engineer involved in what we're doing. We've had
Absolutely.
projects without engineers. We've been regretful on a couple of those. So that's what I'm saying. We need to figure out what we want to do and then get the engineer involved before we put it out for bids.
Right. And I think, we have less money than we had anticipated also. So,
Right.
yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. So do you want to put that in the form of a motion that we put request for proposals for engineering? That would be first.
In order to do the bond construction, I'd like to have put a recommendation and make a motion that we hire an engineering firm before we go out for bids.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, any questions or all in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay. Number 16, consider for discussion action financial report, CD.
I've got that.
CD gave us a folder. He didn't give us a binder. He just gave us a folder.
Council and Mayor, thank you. Okay. I'm really going to be focusing here on wrapping up fiscal year 2022, more so than going back and looking at August. You had gotten the emails, I hope, that I forwarded from Shirley with Andrew Business Solutions to wrap up both August and September. And let's take a look at the September budget. And, pardon me, as other department heads have taken some time to explain what's going on and where things stand, that's what's going to happen for our budget to wrap up 2023. So just hang in there and we will get where we need to be. All right, let's start off on the first page. And that is showing our revenue, our income for the year. That first part there where it says grant revenue, Fund 40, that is actually an accountant's deal, the Fund 40. That's their designation of something that we're not really going to be interested in for this page. So let's go down below that and start with the current year tax. And over to the right, you will see the actual and the budgeted amounts. Pardon me. Now, that is the current year tax of what was budgeted at $463,394. The actual amount that was received came in a little over $500,000, $502,689.70. Now, because the budget wasn't broken down last year, it is this year, so much as to the tax penalties, tax interest, and then the delinquent taxes, delinquent tax penalties, and delinquent tax interest. You will see how those have been split out so that you see the budget for the tax penalty was $3,000. The actual income under that line item was $4,866.65. And the current year tax interest, folks that didn't pay on time, the budget was $900 and the actual income was $1,813.74. Delinquent tax, well, that's for the folks that didn't pay during the current year, and so it got moved into delinquency. The budget was $20,000, and you'll see that those delinquent tax payments actually came in well over twice that amount at $43,550.60.
Wow.
Yes. It adds up whenever you don't pay by the end of January. Just be aware of that. Delinquent tax penalties, the budget was $2,500 and the actual amount was $5,010.27. The delinquent tax interest, now this one really caught folks because it adds up quickly when it goes over to delinquencies. We had budgeted $3,500 in fiscal year 2022. The actual amount collected there was $12,998.08.
Are these figures? It's way off. I mean, way above what we had.
What
And-
we had originally set
Yeah,
the budget
and
for.
when we budget, we look at the prior years
Mm-hmm.
to see what's been collected, and that's basically what we go by because, who would have anticipated that much increase? I mean,
Exactly.
wow.
Now, when we put the budget together, we totaled all those numbers together.
Right.
And that's where we came up with over $600,000 for the
Right.
ad valorem taxes. But when you split it out, you can see actually how things played out through the year. So
That's amazing.
yeah. The donations, that was $600. Actually didn't have a budget because we have no idea really.
Yeah.
We know that the Ivanhoe Civic Club is going to do their quarterly payment that goes towards lights and use of the building, the facility, and the other user groups. They also make donations as well, but it's hard to define what to expect there. So we haven't budgeted any figures there. Copies, faxes, and miscellaneous, that's including notary charges, which is a large amount of that, $361.61 that came in. Permit fees, again, did not really have a good idea of what to expect there for our budget, but the actual income on permits was $7,234.80. Our office receipts, well, that kind of got turned around, and I think that the budget should have been for permits at $3,500, whereas our actual income for that, and that's where the line items particularly showed,
I see what you mean.
got reversed there. So $357 was our office receipts, and that's not for permits.
I think the budget figures here are wrong.
I'm sorry?
I think these budget figures are wrong. I know that we had a budget for community center rental, and it says it's zero. Because at that point, we were renting it $100 a week to that
For the-
church. And
for
so
the
we
church.
anticipated $5,000. So I think that
She,
That-
Shirley, when she was
yeah,
putting
these
this into office.
reports have not been accurate, and this cannot be.
Well, our actual income for the community center rental
Yeah.
came in at $4,350. And on the on-site septic facility permit, whereas there was a budget of $2,500, and that's based on that $310 that the city gets, but then we wind up paying $10 to the state, or if it's an aerobic system, it's $510 for the permit. Altogether, the actuals came in at $5,090 for the number of installations that occurred through the year. On culvert and road material, thanks to the work that, actually, folks coming in and they're wanting to buy a culvert through the city at cost rather than going to a supplier and paying taxes and other things on that. And I think, let's see, some material other than culverts. There was something that was in there. $12,125.68 was the income that offset our cost when we purchased culverts. Our interest income, now that shows $4,845.33. We'd budgeted $500. Now, what happened is that the accountant included the amounts that came in on other accounts in this. So that's really not going to be an accurate, as the mayor was talking about, that's not going to be a full accurate on our general fund. I think the general fund account was probably closer to that actual budgeted amount of $500. The electric franchise fee, the budget was set at $27,000. The actual income was $30,184.87. Garbage franchise fee, and the budget was set at $8,400. And we had averaged around $3,500 per quarter. This shows $15,393.35, and that I'm not sure is accurate either.
I don't think so.
The phone franchise fee set at $500. The actual income was $298.42. General sales tax budgeted for $55,000. The actual was $81,773.97. And there's another report in there, another page that shows the general sales tax.
CD, there's got to be a way that we can find out where the city tax dollars for cell phone fees goes. I'm sure that the way it is now, it's all going to 75979, which would be Woodville. We've got the zip code with the 4 digits at the back. I mean, if there was some way we could get that tied down to.
Remember we investigated that at some point, because there's a line that you're talking about, like on your cell
On my
phone
cell
bill.
phone, yeah,
it
nobody
says-
has
it says-
landlines anymore. Everybody uses cell phones, and
Right.
there's a city tax in every bill that I get.
Oh, I know,
And I know it doesn't come here. Where does it go? And how do we find
well,
out?
yeah. Remember one time we inquired about that? I
The
can't
state
remember what
comptroller's office sales tax division, and somebody else looked into that.
Right, we looked into it. We'll have to look into it again.
Yeah, we'll follow up on that one.
Yeah, that's the, except for it may not be the area code, it may be the billing zip code. That's what we need to nail down.
Yeah.
I actually have the contact at the state comptroller's office for their sales tax department. Now, whether it's franchise fee sales tax or something like that, I'm not sure, but they can put us in the right place.
We really need to know where that money is going.
Yeah, as cell phones proliferate, everyone has at least one.
Yeah.
A lot of folks have two. Okay, continuing on our income here, based
I'll
on
be quiet.
That's okay. That's
No,
what
that's-
we're doing in the process of reviewing here is we finish up 2022.
Yes, sir.
Grant proceeds, that's 656,709.25. Again, that's one of those that was not included in our budget. And,
Oh, that's the money that we expended from the $7 million, or the $8 million grant? Or the $11 million grant?
it shouldn't be showing up in our general
Well,
fund.
No, but I mean,
and
that's
so
the
that's
money
why-
that came in and
but
went
it's-
out.
Yes, that's where she attributed it.
Right,
It should have been in the text class account.
right.
Municipal court operations had a budget of $5,000. It shows an actual income of zero, but again, that goes back to the breakout over on the second page of where it starts with the rest, and we'll get to that in a minute. It shows, well, a budget of $5,000, and then the actual income is broken down between court administration, dismissal fees, court fines, the local, which came close to, between the court administration and the court fines, it beat the budget that was set up for that. The capious warrant fees, judicial fund, that one, I don't know why they even have that, because on the fine that that's assessed by the judge, it's only like 7 cents or a dime that goes towards that account. On page 2 for arrests, again, you'll see that's the actual amount of $576. This is based on the charges that are assessed from a fine or a citation. Court law enforcement fee, and I'll just continue down the list. Local truancy prevention and oh goodness, that is a dedicated fund, by the way, and the judge has sole discretion as to what she wants to do with that, as is for the building security. Now, what we have done in the past with building security is she approves to move that over to cover some of the cost of the monthly building, the
Alarm system.
system, yes. Court technology fund is also a dedicated fund. What she brings in that line item, she generally puts towards that utility data billing, her software. The municipal jury fee, as you can see, just barely got some income in that. And local traffic, most of that line item, local traffic, the majority of the fine in that citation goes to the state. So that shows where an actual income of $1,699,724.87. You take away that grant that was improperly placed in here. It's still
The two
above
grants.
what we. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. And that first line item up there of $300,964. So you take away those, and it puts it a little bit closer to where we actually had budgeted at $595,694.
Right.
Okay, that kind of covers where things have gone on income levels, some discrepancies that we've noticed, and hopefully we're going to be getting that straightened out as we move into the new format that we'll be working on. Although I'm going to report something that I'm not happy with in just a moment. Our expenses, I don't know if you want me to go line by line for the next 4 pages to cover everything. But in our operations, let's just do it that way. With a budget set at $79,500, Our operations expenses actually came in at $85,676.85, and that includes things like the cost of the accountant, the appraisals that we pay for, any collections that occur by, well, I have the MVBA, also the insurance that we have with TML, our dues and fees for annual being a part of either TML or DebtCog or some of the other. Then there's the conference fees and per diem meals, things like that, that's covered in the budget. The administration mileage of $2,626.25. That covers the cost of traveling. We have the office total of, we had $27,000 budgeted for the various line items there. Actual came in at $17,035.66. And that includes things like the cost of the copier and printers, consumables, that would be copy paper, pens, markers, odds and ends like that. Postage is also included in that, and that is turning out to be one of our larger expenses in the office operations, with certified mail going out for our code enforcement department. In personnel, moving over to that, with contracts, we're showing we had $5,500 budgeted. The actual cost came in at $8,813.25, and you'll see where that includes for our website, the attorney, OSSF inspections, and also it says storage lease, but that's actually the lease that we have with the IPOA for the Marshal's department office up front. Also, under payroll expenses, there's the council's where you get the $10 per meeting, and that is actually in place because that way you're considered employees of the city, and that will help immensely should there be a lawsuit brought against members of the council. We don't have to jump through hoops to make sure that you're actually employed by the city. The Supervisor of Dams, bless his heart, $90 for the year. Barely covers his gas for traveling all around to take care of the dams. On the city administrator, you'll see that it was $43,090 that was budgeted. Not sure what happened as far as the actual cost, but it works out to $3,000 per month under this budget. And the vehicle travel reimbursement at $7,200, and the actual expenses came in at $5,640.55. Then for the, oh, that's where it was. The addition was the payroll tax on that. So altogether, $43,247.78 under the city administrator budget line item. For our clerical assistant, total under that was budgeted at $32,137. Our actual came in at $23,817.08. The clerical assistant, that kind of got lumped together because we started off with Missy, and then Holly came in, and well,
No,
Jackie, and then we moved Holly in, and so Jackie's over in code enforcement and helping the Marshal's department. She fills in and helps me as needed. So those two actually, that $32,137 that was budgeted would include both of those positions there. Training and education mileage and training costs was budgeted at $8,000. That came in at $3,250.39. So altogether for office personnel, the budget, $98,427, and the actual was $103,589.21. Over in our Public Works Department, budgeted at $115,972. Actual expenditures, that's including street maintenance cost, the material, street signs, dam repairs actually lumped in here as well. It was set up that way to begin with before we split it out to have a separate line item just for the dams. And it also includes the street maintenance labor. Our employees in the Public Works Department. So altogether, the total of the actual budget expenditures was $123,089.55. Again, the grant contractor and grant engineering was included in these expenditures. That part should have been over in what we have now split out to the separate budget items. The bond construction, the American Rescue Plan Act, and those items. So it was folded into the general fund because we at the time we hadn't started out with those separate budgets. Law enforcement. Okay, with a total budget that was set up, there's a discrepancy here. What we're looking at is $58,300 on the budget. There was a cost of $108,494.52. There is something that's off on that one, and that's going to have to be clarified. On the marshal's vehicles, $6,000 was budgeted for that. We had some repair work that needed to be done, and the costs that drove that up, especially as fuel prices increased dramatically. So that put the actual expenses at $19,546.76. In municipal court, between salary and the payroll tax, $28,087, and the expenditures, the actual cost for functions and operations in municipal court was $26,552.51. Moving on to our contracts, which includes, well, no, I'm sorry. That one is out because we didn't actually have budgets on that. That was covered back here under some of the other categories, like, well, I don't want to specifically point Brad out, but if we have to go to an outside counsel, that's a contract work. Plus, under the contract that we have now, during regular meetings, before he had a certain amount, and then outside of that was contracted amount. Now it's just one amount that covers whether it's regular meetings or he's working in the office on behalf of the city and all like that.
Would Mr. IT fall into that category as well?
That-
Mr. IT, would that fall into the same category?
That would be back underneath the
IT.
computer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even though it is a
It
contract?
will be now under the new budget as set aside for actual IT work. Our phone, we had $1,500 set aside in the budget for that. Total came in at $1,579.25. Water, we had $1,500 set aside on that, and we didn't have any water leaks this year, so we came in at $1,362.34. I did slip over one, city property maintenance. budgeted $14,000. Now, what was included in city property maintenance was the work that was done at the Public Works Department, and that added a bit to that line item, bringing it to $16,199.07. Okay, and electricity. Since this covers both here and at also the electricity that we pay at the Marshal's department, budgeted $7,500 for that. The actual cost was $8,804.92. Part of that is attributable to going back to February of last year when the
Freeze.
deep freeze came into effect. Now Sam Houston Electric is adding a surcharge, and it will go for the next 5 years of about $6 per month to our electric bill. Let's see. That the line item for lodging, that actually should be back up underneath the training and education department, where expense for staying at a hotel when going to training. There's also the grant, or let's see, the disaster administrator consultant, $367,903.73, and that is what should have been grouped over to another of those budgets instead of the general fund budget. So that throws things out of kilter for giving a total expense, whereas we had budgeted $665,694, and it shows that our total expenses was $2,317,848. Well, there you go, over to those grants. So it's not really reflective of the general fund expenditures for the year. That kind of covers most of what I've got here. I'm guessing if you look at that bottom line, no, that won't work. That's covering the net income. So that is a breakdown of our fiscal year 2023 with some of the discrepancies as noted that we're going to have to get worked out, and that will be a part of what the accountants do whenever they come in, or the auditors do when they come in.
Well, this report was done by Shirley, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And
Hasn't Heinemann done?
they haven't started taking over this part yet.
Okay. Thank you.
And that brings me to the next thing that I wanted to present. Okay, where did it go? Here it is. All right. Emails back and forth with Kyle Heineman. And this is going to be the page, it's actually a copy of the email, and I highlighted the part that is concerned to me, because the city had pretty much based the new budget, fiscal year 2023 budget, with particular line items and the corresponding numeric code that goes with those line items on starting under QuickBooks Desktop with the new year. So when I got back from vacation and started querying Kyle, that bottom part of that page is actually where I started the conversation with him. But going back to the top portion that's highlighted in yellow, he said, as far as switching to desktop, it's not going to be as friendly as I expected. First off, no payroll activity transfers in the migration, so we'd have to re-enter all payroll information to be able to process the W-2s and other yearly payroll reports out of QuickBooks at the end of the year. The conversion also doesn't copy all transactions as they occurred. there were multiple accounts where activity in the desktop in his test migration did not match the online version. So if we switch to desktop now, the books may not reflect the true position for all funds as accurately as online for several months until we can go in and reconcile the various accounts. Switching to desktop would be better in January from a payroll perspective. Switching to desktop for financial statement purposes would have been better to do this month if the conversion worked as it should, but since the conversion is not accurate, I don't think it'll present additional difficulties if we wait until January to start entering into desktop. Now, as I discussed this with the mayor, that means that for the next 3 months, all of the checks that I write, all the deposits that are made that are split out to the various line items, I'm going to have to keep a separate record of those. And then at the beginning of January, I go back and re-enter all of those checks. So that's going to be close to 350, 400 checks that will have to be redone. That's why I'm not a happy camper at this point, because we were basing everything on transitioning from QuickBooks Online over to desktop. And I made that quite clear to Kyle this morning when I talked to him on the phone.
Are you able to offload those keystrokes to someone else?
It'll probably be burning the midnight oil for me and Jackie for
Okay.
a while, no, at least a week or so. So during that period of time, she may not be doing much in the way of code enforcement. But since the desktop is limited to just one desktop for use,
Okay.
now we can have Kyle overseeing that, but as far as the entries, that will be our responsibility. Okay, so he concludes that since the conversion is not accurate, I don't think it will present additional difficulties, at least for them, if we wait until January to start entering into desktop. We'll have to reconcile either way, and by waiting, it may be easier to only reconcile 3 months instead of the full year of activity that's preceding this. So that's where things stand on that. I had a conversation with Shirley today. She's actually ending up her service to the city, and the QuickBooks Online program, we are going to move over to Davis Heineman and Company, and hopefully in this 3-month period of time, Kyle's going to be able to come up with some way of figuring out those keystrokes or whatever it's going to take in order to save us that work coming up in January or at the end of December. So that's what I came back from vacation to.
Yeah. Welcome home.
Okay, now to our sales tax. As was noted in the budget income there, we saw $81,774 to close out fiscal year 2022.
Yay.
And we are starting 2023 almost exactly where we were in October of last year. If you look at the chart there at the top where it says 2023 and 2022 under October, just not it's a little bit lower, but the percentage-wise is very small. Now, the budget was set a bit on the high side, so we're crossing our fingers that as we move towards the holiday season and folks are really starting to utilize Dollar General, and by all means, all of our other small businesses that operate in the city that report sales taxes. Wes Austin, his business, also Emily and her business, and several others that we have out here. So support of those is so beneficial to the city. Okay, that's a report on the sales tax. As of the end of September, our deposits at Citizens State Bank, not just general fund, the others that we have with Citizens State Bank, they totaled $148,701.13. That was all basically covered by FDIC insurance. But if needed, we had an additional cushion from the pledged assets of $153,664.60. So all the public funds were very well covered. Okay, I've gone on and I've gone on and I've gone on, and folks are wondering, how much do we have for carryover? Well, there's this form that I pulled today. It's not actually looking at September the 30th. I just did not think at that time of pulling the report from text class and from Citizen State Bank. But this is going to give us a kind of an idea, especially knowing that going forward, the auditors are going to be looking at the expenditures that our bills that we're paying in October that were actually attributable to something that we purchased back before the end of September. So it will be after the auditors finish their work that we'll actually know the total that we call carryover, or what the auditors call fund balance. But if we look at it on the text class accounts and the general fund, and I say general fund because this is where the council has decided to move anything that's over what we would normally be operating on from month to month, and generally try to carry at least around $50,000, which is maybe 2 months worth of operating expenses or costs. But anything over that, we get a lot better interest rate at text class. So as of the end, or not end, but as of today, in that general fund at text class, we have $201,460.70. Now, we'll be pulling from that, believe me, because our major income from ad valorem taxes doesn't show up until either late December, for sure in January, and then some of it carries over into February, because the ladies at the tax office, they're just overwhelmed with so much coming in before that January 30th deadline, 31st deadline, when things go into being delinquent, and then they start accruing tax and interest. So we'll be pulling that down over the next few months. Matter of fact, I'm going to submit a request to the mayor to move another $50,000 tomorrow from that account over into our general operations account. Because as you see down here in our general fund, we have $42,188.33 down below it, where our hand wrote, which the state bank was as adept at keeping up with this as Texas did. Anyway, we'll add that $50,000 to it, mainly because we have our TML insurance that's waiting to be paid. And that's going to add up to about just under $27,000. So I don't like to go under that amount too far, and pulling $26,000 from the $42,000 would leave us. So that's where the $50,000 request to fill our maintenance and operations general fund. On the text class bond fund, we had $391,318.86 in there, and that is kind of what the fiscal year 2023 budget is set up for. The 2019 sinking interest and sinking fund, we paid our bill, so to speak, on the bond, and so our account balance as of this morning was $18,767.74, which is a good way towards our budgeted amount of $135,000 or whatever it was for paying our bond off. The fund balance, this is basically where it's emergency. the money that we've carried forward in the past, council has said, okay, let's build this up and provide a cushion. I think general accounting principles and recommended business practices is to carry about 6 months to 8 months of operating, estimated operating expenses in that account. And we still have a little ways to go to get it up to that 6 to 8 month carrying amount.
I thought it was
Corona-
3.
I'm sorry?
I thought it was
A
3.
question?
No.
Oh, okay. Coronavirus Recovery Fund, this is where we got our second tranche of payments in, $355,692.24 in that. For our budget purposes, we refer to it as ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act funds. The CDBG MIT, that's a flow-through account. But we have to have it in place because Citizen State Bank, they'd have difficulty having pledged securities when all of a sudden the state dumps $1.2 million into that account. Well, in text class, that's covered. We don't have to worry about it. All the government entities that are part of text class, they serve as our insurance. Again, a flow through. We get the $1.2 million in today. I need to have that out to the contractor, to the engineer, or to the grant writer within 3 business days. So, like I say, it's a flow through. We don't see that $11.9 million or $11.4 million in that account because it doesn't happen until we submit for payment for that, and then the state sends that reimbursement to us. So, again, a reimbursement, a flow through. Same thing for the supplemental. Now, that shows us having a balance of $24.40. And that was because of some income from interest that it stayed in that account just long enough that it brought up the interest there. I think we had flow through of, I forgot, $100 and some odd thousand before it got dispersed out. And so that's where that $24.40 comes in. So that's an explanation of that sheet for you. Okay, I have long gone well-winded beyond everything imaginable, but I wanted to, this is the end of the year for our fiscal 2022. Now, are there any questions? And if I don't know the question and what needs to be getting cleared up, we will address that with the accountant and with the auditor over the next few days.
When you went through the financials for 2022, there were several discrepancies. When will these be cleared up?
We're going to be working on those tomorrow. See, I just got this about the same time you did when I forwarded it to you this morning. So I haven't had a lot of time to go through and say, we got a problem to fix.
Okay.
Short term doesn't help a lot.
All right.
Any other questions?
And we will be working on getting that all clarified, and so we'll have it ready for the council, at least by the next council meeting for sure.
Very good.
Okay. Any other questions for CD?
Thank you for bearing with me and with us. I want to thank Jackie for filling in, doing all the payroll and all the other things involving the treasurer's jobs while I was out. And thank you for allowing me to enjoy the old world for a couple of weeks.
Thank you, CD. Do I hear a motion to approve the financial report?
I'll make that motion.
I second.
I
Any-
think we should wait till these discrepancies are cleared up before we approve that financial report, be my recommendation.
I agree.
Okay. Agreed?
Yeah.
All right.
So
So would you like to withdraw your
I
motion?
withdraw my motion.
I withdraw my second.
All right. I agree. All right. Consider it,
Need a motion for that, or?
not if we're going to table it, I mean, postpone it.
That'd be, so we get some clarity.
That's a good idea. Thank you. Consider for discussion action, update to employee paid time off. John?
Are we gonna do that here or in executive session? I'm just asking.
It's not really,
Okay.
it's just a question of anniversaries and,
Right.
yeah. We beat that horse to death almost.
Almost.
We have a little bit more beating to do.
My fingers to work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, there's more.
Should we want to? Okay, I know we've worked on this for quite a few months now, and there was recommendations made to me to make some more changes. So what we did primarily was where it used to say calendar year, now it says anniversary. And where it used to say, contact the supervisor 30 days, we're saying at least 30 days. Other than that,
30 days.
the amount of
Yes.
time stayed the same. Huh? I'm sorry.
30 minutes,
I mean, what did I say?
30 days.
30 days.
Oh, 30 minutes, I'm sorry.
Thirty.
I also ran this by maintenance department to see how they felt, and they agreed to this.
So in effect, what we're doing is we're changing it from year to anniversary date of
Yes.
when they started working.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. John, is this in the form of a motion to
Yes,
adopt the
I'd like
change?
to make a motion that the city council accept these changes and put into motion to go forward with it.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Questions, comments, discussion?
Who's going to track the time off?
I'm sorry,
Who's-
what?
Who keeps the record for their personal time off?
CD.
All right, is this going to be a burden on you, or is it
Administratively.
administratively?
From an anniversary perspective. I mean, you okay?
Thank you, Councilman Warren. We'll have to see. We were looking at initially just establishing it as the number of hours for that year. We'll do some calculating and figure out how it will work out, because somebody that starts in May, that's just a partial year. And so calculating that, we'll have to see how that plays out.
And then their time doesn't accrue to the next May.
Right,
Right.
So you have everybody staggered.
right.
So the question is it going to be an administrative burden on you?
We'll see how well Excel does as far as calculating.
Okay. I mean, it's neither here nor there. I mean, most companies go calendar year because it's simple. Everybody starts at this here.
We could be spending dollars chasing dimes.
Then we get into the situation of a calendar year versus our city's fiscal year.
I don't know that should matter one way or the other. I mean, they're going to be off, they're going to be paid whether they're working or not. The hours are all going to be the same.
It all starts the same, all ends the same, but now
I'm just
everybody's is staggered.
Well,
Calendar versus fiscal shouldn't really matter.
what we encounter there is this council cannot tell the next council fiscal year.
We wouldn't be telling next year's council anything. I mean, there's just hours that they're owed, whether they take them or not. And when they start, I don't know why it would matter.
Like I say, we'll have to work that one out because a budget is set on a fiscal year, not a calendar year.
So,
And
but your personal time off doesn't fit either one of those. It's gonna come in
Based
the
on
middle.
time of service.
It gets paid whether they're working or not.
Get paid whether they're working or
That's
not,
my
but
point.
whether it's fiscal year, whether it's January, and now you're gonna have one in February, you're gonna have one in September, you're gonna have one in October maybe, and I'm just throwing some out there. It's gonna be the same amount of dollars.
I mean, that's kind of why I always had felt like an annual started on January 1st. You get your hours to take during that calendar year. Once you reach that threshold,
So employees would need to think about that, not ending things at the end of September. If they want to carry forward into a new budget year, their hours for whatever they're wanting to take.
Okay,
so when do they get their time? Do they have to accrue?
Well, it has been set up. I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I'm sorry. Yeah, they would have to get accrued and like
So
you
come
say,
October 1, after they've established their first year, when it reaches October 1,
right. So they started, let's say, you're saying they started October 1 of this year. Is that what you're saying?
no, I'm saying that they've reached their time and grade, and now we come to the October 1 the fiscal year that starts. We had at one point agreed that they would get, come October 1 or January 1, they would get all the hours available to them for the upcoming year.
coming year.
Right. So what happens, okay, if somebody starts in May, for an example,
Okay.
and so in May, they've finished a year, they've completed their year of employment, but they don't get their vacation until October 1.
Then you're in a different budget year.
Right. I think that's the thinking about why
Right.
it would be
Yeah.
anniversary instead of, because once you completed your year, you should be eligible for vacation.
Okay.
But you know more about that than I
Right.
do.
Here- If you go into, so you cut,
Yeah, come on.
if you have an anniversary in May,
I'm the one
Okay.
that's conducting the meeting right now.
Okay, that's fine. Carry on.
Okay.
all right, so we have an employee who starts in May. They complete a full year.
Uh-huh.
So per what you have here
Right.
on their anniversary date, so on their second year of employment, they're gonna get 96 hours.
Mhm.
All right, so comes May, they got 96 hours
No,
of personal time off.
Well, after 1 year, they have 48 hours, right?
All right, so they go through their first year. Second year, they have 96 hours.
Right.
after they
If they come
complete
up to
the
October
second year.
1st, and they haven't taken any. So then that goes into the next budget year.
They can't carry it forward. They have to take it.
But their,
You have
their
to-
anniversary and the fiscal year don't align.
They don't line up. They don't line up.
That's
They're-
right. They
right.
gotta
because-
take it by the end of their first year.
So you're gonna
Their
tell them,
anniversary date.
my anniversary's in date, and you have to, I have to use 96 hours by October 1st.
No,
Okay,
by your anniversary date.
okay, and
By
one of the
the
reasons.
next anniversary
start-
date.
Make
But
the
you
first
start
next
in
year,
May.
you gotta use your year,
But you start in May, and you have till next May to use it.
yes.
But then you're in two different budget years.
Right.
Because our budget year ends September 30th.
Okay, and like I said, when I was considering this, I got with David, and I'd like for him to come up and explain why this was made, if that's okay.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, I was just wanting Will to finish what he was saying before we interrupted him.
What we've discussed and the reason we keep beating this dead horse, I think, is if we do it by anniversary, I don't know from Shinola as far as what it does to the budget. What it does help, yeah, and I keep records as CD does, and we normally compare these each month to see where we're at and that we're both aligned. Case in point, if I can get this down right, have one employee that because of the calendar year or fiscal year, he started in June. So my question to John was, that's fine, he's in his second year. So when he reaches that plateau, does it, do we take away? Do we add to? Because at this point, he's getting 48 hours. If he's doing it by anniversary, what's the definition of 2 years? Is it where we're beginning 2 years, completed 2 years?
2 years from the time they start.
Okay, the completion of 2
Right.
years. Okay,
Yes.
okay. So long as they get it, I don't care what we call it. To me, yeah, doing it by anniversary would be a little more trouble, a little more work. But I think all in all, that's probably the fairest way to do it.
If that's the cleanest way, then, yeah.
That's just me
It's-
dealing with it every day.
And those are the questions. It don't make, so long as they get their time,
That's it.
so long as on their anniversary date, when they come to work, they get 48 hours, or they get 96 hours, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
They get it all at one time.
Exactly.
And
And no accrual.
No accrual.
The other thing that came up from that was they finished their second year in June, but up until then, they've been 48 hours. So what happens in June? Do we take the difference between 96
No,
and 48
no,
and give that
they
to
get
them?
No, they
96.
don't, it doesn't,
They would get 96
They
hours
get 96
Right,
hours.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
to use before their next anniversary date.
But if we did it calendar year, or fiscal year,
It's
it would
confusing.
create a problem.
yeah, it's really confusing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's, at some points, to make things simpler.
Yeah.
On the beginning of the second year, then they get, on the beginning of the calendar year, then it rolls over.
Right. Let's just say,
But if you want to use anniversary,
We
fine.
use-
If you want to use calendar, fine. If you want to go on our fiscal year, fine, so long as they get all their time at the beginning.
at the beginning.
And it's not a burden administratively
Right.
to track.
Right. And I've checked it and run it by the guys, and they were all thrilled to hear anniversary, just because it's easier for them to keep track of.
Okay.
If we did it fiscal year, calendar year,
Yeah, it's confusing.
September, I was down to sometimes had to beg somebody to come back to work because everybody was trying to use it before they lose it. So this will spread it a little more evenly, I think, throughout the year.
So long as it is easy for us to work.
Right. Can we work with that between the two of us?
Well, if not, we'll come back to the council.
We'll beat that horse some more.
And this is now one of those living documents that's
That's true.
open.
That's
but-
true.
But so long as they get their time.
Yep.
and they get it all
All at
whenever,
once.
whenever they want to
Not-
take it.
No accrual.
If they come up here and they do a job for us and we have a good crew,
Right.
then the only benefit they
No,
get, they
we've
should
been
have
beating
it.
this stone horse for months.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're good?
I'm great.
yeah.
I mean, we've been beating this horse for months. I know we started
Well,
6 months ago.
well,
But we need to
it's
think of
better-
our
It's better to
employees.
take time to get it right than to
Right.
rush into something.
Right, and that's why David and I spoke. I also spoke to a couple of employees that work in the office. They like this better than what we originally presented. So, that's why I would
Did
like
you talk
to
to
make,
Public Works?
huh?
Did you talk to the Public Works people?
Yeah, I didn't, but David
did.
did. I mean, I talked to
Oh, you just
David.
stayed in the office.
You talked to David.
You just stay in the office. You call him on the phone, or you go see him.
Oh, I talked to him in person.
I made it a point.
There you go.
Okay, thank y'all
Did you
for
call him in
spending.
the office?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thank y'all for spending so much time on this, but hopefully I think we'll get it right.
It makes
And
sense.
I think so. I think it makes the most.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any more questions or discussions on this?
No.
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Praise God.
Thank you, John. Number 18 is considered for discussion, Fair Labor Standard Act. This is Councilman Warren.
Okay, I'm gonna bring this so we all understand. The Fair Labor Standard Act says that non-exempt employees are paid for all of their time, whether it be here or if they work from home. And if they work over 40 hours, they're paid time and a half. And if we don't follow this, we could get, it's a huge liability on the city. So I'm letting council know, if you're non-exempt, the department heads, that people who work for us have got to be paid for the time that they do it. They cannot work off the clock.
Okay.
That's critical.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, I appreciate that.
I
You
mean,
know,
this is huge. If we lose somebody, they could come back and say, I did all this off the clock. We had to pay them their back pay.
Okay. Okay, good.
So
All right.
I want
So
everybody to
it's-
understand.
This is an FYI thing.
FYI, it's a verbal warning. We pay for what they do.
Right. Okay. All right. Next is there been any communication from the audience? No? Okay. Council comments? Come on, guys. All right. Wait, Tommy has something?
One comment. I would like to thank CD for calling Victoria, I'm pretty sure, and getting LD out there on Charmaine South and actually fixing some of the cracks. They did a pretty good job. Now we just need to fog seal it so it'll be the same color all over.
Oops. All right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes, yes,
It's done.
we passed it.
What's
tried
that?
to-
And if
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
if your public works
Okay, wait, who ma-
supervisor,
Okay.
Wait a minute. Time out. Debbie needs to know who made the motion to adjourn, right?
I did.
Okay.
And the
Will,
public
who
works
seconded?
supervisors cannot go out
Okay.
there hunting.
Just so the minutes are in.